まあいいわ。応戦します。
Hi, I'm Dubbingly, and I'm here today to help players new to Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2 learn Jacko. This series will cover everything from her buttons, basic controls, Okizeme, combos, and the strategy behind making the most of this extremely unique and very fun character. Let's get it out of the way. If you're new to the game, you've probably looked at a few tier lists and noticed Jacko is almost always towards the bottom. Yes, Jacko is widely considered a bottom 5 character. But this isn't because she struggles immensely all the time or has aspects of her that are completely dysfunctional. Jacko is considered on the weaker end of the roster because her win condition is highly dependent on the Jacko player making lots of correct decisions in a row. Compared to other characters, she has to play very cleanly and adapt to the opponent's decisions in a less than intuitive manner. There also isn't much room for making a mistake when playing Jacko, because getting hit forces all the servants on the screen to disappear, and losing high-level houses she spent a lot of time setting up and protecting can kill her momentum entirely. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the theory, strategy, and practicality of playing Jacko effectively. As a Jacko player, it is essential to reevaluate your concept of winning interactions. Because unlike nearly every other character, Jacko's concept of winning is not exclusively tied to depleting the opponent's life bar to 0. All her buttons and specials are built around facilitating this, so attempting to play her like you would most of the roster, by winning neutral, then performing a pressure into a mix-up, comboing off that mix-up and ending a knockdown, and then doing a powerful Oki route, and repeat, will not net you results. The reward you will be getting off a lot of hits or interactions, most of the time, will just be getting to set a house, or wasting a lot of time for them to level up without putting them in danger. A round when playing Jacko can be broken into 3 stages, but by virtue of how she functions, these stages can reset and play out multiple times throughout a match, and sometimes the later ones might not be reached at all. The initial stage is about establishing your houses as something the opponent has to deal with. This stage usually takes place from the beginning of the round, and involves securing your first knockdown into a house set and the Oki that follows. Now that houses have been set, it's your job to protect them by making the opponent block until at least 1 or 2 servants from those houses have appeared. At this point, it's safe for you to disengage and possibly set up another house, or wait and see what the opponent does. The establishment stage is all about gathering data on how your opponent chooses to deal with your houses, and formulating a short-term plan, as well as a long-term strategy around the decisions they're choosing to make in regards to them. If the opponent decides to approach you and ignore the houses, don't fret. This is good. This means that not only are they pushing the screen away from where your houses are, they're also unconcerned with your win condition. Use this against them by interrupting their approach with your many good pokes, or by simply holding their pressure. More on defense later. If the opponent is instead choosing to solely focus on attacking the houses and ignore you, this means they're more scared of you than you are of them. Take this chance to do an organ command, set up another house, throw an existing one, or to approach them while they're over there whiffing buttons. Strong players will often drop combos tactically, or hit houses just a few times with something non-committal, and then go back to focusing on you. But this just means you have to take advantage of the time they do spend focusing on houses, which brings us to the next stage. The stage that will always come directly after the establishment stage is all about drawing out interactions as long as possible in order for your houses to level up enough to move on to the next phase. Let's call it the Bridget stage, because it mostly revolves around playing a good runaway game, or what some would call playing lane. This part of the round traditionally starts when you have a few houses. This part of the round traditionally starts when you have a few houses down and in good health, but not at a high enough level to leverage them as a threat yet. Most of this stage will be using what you observed during the establishment phase, whether the opponent was trying to kill you, kill the houses, or a mix of both, and exploiting it. The Bridget stage consists of like 50% just picking up houses and throwing them. In all seriousness, this stage comes down to good house placement, where ideally 2 are on screen, with a good amount of space between them, and 1 is off screen, leveling up passively without danger of getting killed. The other important techniques during this phase are strong movement that focuses on evasion and minimizing risks, as well as, funnily enough, blocking a lot. Defending intentionally can seem, and in certain matchups is, scary, because in general, Guilty Gear is all about not getting in the position where you have to defend in the first place. But for Jaco, defending is part of how she wins. Because her pressure often doesn't loop itself without servants to cover her, by defending adeptly, you're gaining advantage the entire time while in the Bridget stage. Every second your opponent is focusing on you, your houses are leveling up, and your servants are spawning. This doesn't mean just block everything, because in a game like this, that's nearly impossible. You should absolutely still make an attempt to get the hell out of there, or mash like your life depends on it when you feel it's safe to. This mostly just means that by virtue of how she works, defending is not as much of a losing situation for Jaco as it is for every other character. The last stage, and the ideal as well as the ultimate goal when playing her, is the checkmate stage. Once your houses are leveled up to 3, and you have all 6 possible servants out on the field, the goal in this phase is to get the opponent in the corner and have all 3 houses there as well. To facilitate this, after you have the opponent in the corner and they're locked down by servants, then use the organ to recall all houses, and then special cancel your string into setting them. During servant storm pressure, it's good to get into the habit of observing the rhythm of your servants' attacks, and staggering your buttons to be in between their hits, so as to create what can feel like an infinite block string. You'll also be doing a lot of special canceling into 5D with a homing jump, because it's hard to see with all the servants around, and leads to a combo that can't be interrupted by magician servants. Special canceling into picking up and throwing a house is good for keeping the opponent from jumping out, and 6K is also extremely useful for similar reasons to 5D. Jaco will be gaining a large amount of meter in the checkmate stage due to her unique method of meter gain from simply standing near houses. Because of this increased access to disposable meter, if it seems like your turn is about to be over, and there's no servants ready to attack to keep it going, canceling into Calvados is actually a really strong thing to do. Jaco is +9 on block after Calvados, which gives you time to issue an organ command, usually clock up, to further strengthen this already great situation for you. While the checkmate situation of having all 3 houses at level 3, and the freedom to just go fucking ham on your opponent with your homies backing you up is fun as hell, and how Jacko ideally wins, you will not be getting this stage in every single round or game you play. A lot of times, you'll simply be bleeding the opponent out and taking the little wins where you can get them until you either die. Remember, anyone can win with level 3 houses. The fun part is getting there. Some notes on meter management. Like was explained in part 2 of this series, 5D, 2D, 4D, 6D, JD, and J2D all can be done without meter, but have various different advantages when used with meter. Because these moves are extremely important to her game plan, and using meter on them is mandatory, Jacko is considered a meter-hungry character. Meter management is an important part of Guilty Gear's design philosophy as a whole, but with Jacko's various other resources she has to manage, it can be easy to recklessly use meter without realizing, and leaving you with none when you really need it. Your best uses of meter are on these dust moves: universal defensive mechanics like dead angle, blitz, faultless defense, or purple Roman canceling with buttons in neutral, and yellow Roman canceling house sets, throws, or organ commands in dangerous situations where you would be put in a bad situation if you didn't. Less than ideal things to use meter on are red Roman canceling to continue a combo, due to the nature of Jacko's combo theory, making the damage gained from these negligible. Although if you have to RRC to kill, by all means do so. Any kind of Roman cancels to perform cheeky mix-ups is also undesirable because of the meter penalty after doing so. This isn't to say using meter in these ways is totally useless, just that you should be aware of the circumstances under which you're doing so. Another reason Jacko is lower on the tier list is because her matchup spread is very polarizing. She has more even and unfavorable matchups than good ones, and barring Slayer, her matchups are mostly all highly dependent on how much the opponent's character is hindered by Aegis Shield. Due to the long cooldown on Aegis Shield, it can never really be relied on too heavily in any matchup. The high-level Jacko player .Nova put together this matchup chart, and it's generally agreed upon among most of her player base. I won't go over every matchup because that would take far too long, but here are some of the more important ones that demonstrate what I mean. The ones you win, aka the bottom tiers are killing each other. While Zato isn't a very common character, Jacko vs. Zato is considered one of the worst matchups in the game, up there with Sin vs. Potemkin, and is a good example for why it's said Aegis defines Jacko's matchups. In the Zato matchup, Jacko can get set up very easily thanks to Aegis Shield nullifying not only Eddie, but also Drill, which is essentially Zato's entire neutral game. Outside of this obviously huge hurdle for Zato, Jacko's 2K is a great button to kill puddles. He doesn't have any buttons that can kill houses without some kind of drawback. And Magician Servants snipe him while he's flying, which is a common tactic among Zatos to buy time for Eddie meter to refresh. This matchup is not a free win though. Jacko has no way to deal with Zato's strong offense post-drill knockdown if she does not already have Aegis up. When she decides to use Aegis is very important, as it does not last very long and has the longest cooldown out of any of her organ commands. When Aegis is up, Zato cannot play the game. But when it's not, and he's able to secure a knockdown, Jacko has to play his game, the same as everyone else. Slayer is a rare matchup for Jacko, where Aegis isn't overwhelmingly useful, but she still wins. Slayer has a hard time dealing with a lot of Jacko's large buttons like 2H, 5H, and 6H, They naturally control the area he wants to be in, and his sometimes linear and limited mobility makes navigating servants difficult, as well as his buttons best for killing houses, like 2H and 2D, coming with a lot of risk. 4D, 3H, 5H, and 2H are very good for hitting him out of dandy step, backdash, or forward dash, and can even call out BDC due to how active some of them are. Overall, this matchup will probably feel the best out of all the ones you play. In all honesty, the even and unfavorable matchups for Jacko don't feel that bad. You'll just have to work a bit harder than in the favorable ones. Okay, so I have to preface this section by saying the information in this is true. I don't lie, but I'm also salty as fuck about these matchups, so take it with a grain of salt. Okay, and also, you're gonna watch this footage and you're gonna be like, Jacko's winning some of these. Yeah, just like any other matchup, Jacko can get her win condition against these characters and run them the fuck over. It's just way harder. Now's the time where we have to talk about the near universally agreed upon, no good, very bad, awful, terrible matchups. The unholy trinity of Chip, Jam, and Axel. With Chip, the major thing is that a large part of Jacko's strategy requires running away for the most of the round, and then when she's got her win condition, locking the opponent down. Chip's superior mobility makes his runaway better than hers, and he can make escapes from servants more easily than a lot of characters. A good Chip player's mix-ups are difficult for anyone to consistently defend against, and you will be getting hit a lot, which is already bad for Jacko. This is made worse by how fast Chip's natural movement speed is, so in neutral, he can level neighborhoods and then close the gap faster than Jacko can build them. With Jam, it's a similar story to Chip. She's fast and mobile, so making space to set up a neutral is a no-go. Jam 6H will almost always trade with 3H, and if it does, it will always be in Jam's favor. Blocking Jam for a long time is a death sentence because of how much damage she's able to deal, especially when factoring in stocked cards, risk, and if her current positioning is near the corner. She also just kills houses by existing. Her normal pressure buttons, like 5H and 2H, they just fucking kill everything. Nova described it perfectly when he said, Jam has literally no reason to respect Jacko. Ever. Oh, and Jam's standing animation randomly takes away plus frames from a space 3H because this matchup wasn't already difficult enough, I guess. And then there's Axel. While many new players that might be playing characters with a good matchup against Axel still lose over and over again to his knowledge checks and gimmicks, this is just a bad fucking matchup for her. 2H Rinsengeki is the breadwinner in this matchup, and there is almost nothing Jacko can do about it. All his buttons, especially 2H, have 2 hits that vortex, and therefore level any houses in between you and him from several zip codes away. You might say, well, Rinsen is a projectile and therefore killed by Aegis, but good luck ever having a moment in neutral where you can get that thing up. Even if you do manage to somehow knock him down, you will always have to play around his DP that any Axel player will definitely churn whenever they are able to. And if you do get hit by it, congrats, you're back to full screen where you have to start all over again. Taking to the air to approach him is also futile, because Axel's whole thing is getting amazing reward off anti-airs. I was once told air dash YRC was a good thing to use in this matchup, which, one, you know it's bad when that's a good thing to do, and two, that requires you to have any kind of meter at all to do it. In conclusion, I personally believe playing this matchup isn't good for your soul, but luckily there's not many Axel players, so you probably won't have to play it often. Just think about having a counter pick if you do. Well, there you have it. Over the course of the series, I've shared enough knowledge and strategy to get you started with Jacko. But it's important to remember that you can play however is most fun for you. The information in this series is meant to help you get a feel for the character and how she functions, not a be-all, end-all scripture of how to play her, as was made clear by the massive style differences between all the players I've shown today. On a more personal note, before I picked up Jacko, I felt pretty hopeless with this game. I had played Kai when I started, and then switched to Sin because I thought he had a higher skill ceiling. Despite Sin having everything on paper that I like in a character, I never felt worse than when I was playing him. Picking up Jackie gave me a whole new perspective on the game that I'm so thankful to have found. She's my favorite character I've ever played, and has helped me come into my own as a player. I've even learned how to problem solve and get creative in ways I never thought I could because of her. Jacko's hard, and sometimes, when I'm in the corner and Jam is screeching in my ear and threatening to do 60% off a stray hit, I think about how lucky I am to have found a character I enjoy every aspect of. Besides, I've always got my homies by my side, even if they mess things up sometimes. Thanks for watching, and for the last time, I've been Dovingly, and see you on the flip side.